I'm Scott Alan Miller. It is the 15th of July, 2022, and welcome to my vlog of daily life in León, Nicaragua. Today is Friday, and, I'm tired of doing the filming in the same spot with the same, way too much the same. We're going to try something a little bit different today just because we need some variety, and I've been wanting to do this, and I needed an excuse so that I'm stuck just filming right next to my house because I've got the dogs to watch and I can't go very far, and we're just going to shake things up a little bit because you're tired of seeing the same scenery. So there we go. That should be a little bit different. At least it's something different, right? I just thought it would be fun. Every so often, I check out what my videos look like in this setting, and I get some screenshots of it because I think they turn out pretty cool some of the time. So why not do it? It's just, you get the same talking head every day anyway, so it's Friday. I actually didn't have too bad of a workload today. It was really nice. I did have some phone calls. I started the day with a number of meetings. So up until about noon, I was pretty much on the phone all day. But once I got past that, I actually had a pretty relaxing afternoon. I was able to do a little bit of filming. I was able to do a lot of uploads and edits. And I knocked off on the early side, which is to say still about 5 o'clock, 5:30, but I did leave at a reasonable time, went and hung out with the kids for the evening. We've started by getting dinner on the early side. I went up to Oasis del Sabor, which does the pizzas. Now, the pizza was not as good tonight as it's been, so I don't know if they changed something or it was just not a great pizza. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was certainly not our standard. Liesl decided she was going to have pizza, even though she doesn't like pizza that much, and she has become lactose intolerant, so she's mostly avoiding dairy these days. But she was like, I'll just pick off the cheese and I'll do some pizza. So we did that. And Luciana also, she originally said she didn't want pizza, but then once we had it, she's like, yeah, I'll have pizza. But Luciana also wanted a crepe. Just real quick, I'm going to note, there's an airplane flying over, and starting yesterday or the day before, I don't know if this is going to show up on the video, I'm going to try to grab it. It's coming through the trees, and it's going to come directly overhead here in a second. I have no idea why that plane has been flying over so much this week, because normally we have no planes at all, and it has been here many times, and it just seems to circle around the city. I think that is the plane that does the low buzzing flyovers at Las Piñatas. If you see some of my old videos from the beach, I have some where the plane would come by. I don't know if you can see it on the GoPro. It's way out there, just above the buildings. Very, very far away. Maybe the 4K will be able to grab it, but I think it would fly really low over the beach, come right over the rocks. It would almost hit people with its wheels. Everybody would go running. I would run out and take videos with the phone or whatever whenever I could. It's at least a little bit interesting. Anyway, I think that's what it is. But they've been flying loops around the city a lot this week, and I've not seen them the whole time we've lived here. Anyway, so Luciana was like, oh yeah, I'll have pizza now we have it, but she wanted crepe. So I got her a crepe, and I got a pizza for all of us to share, and that worked for dinner. I cooked lunch. It was like grilled cheese or something. And then we had wanted to play video games tonight, but Luciana was like, I'm just not feeling it. I don't want to do it. And so Liesl and I used the opportunity to make tonight our final finishing of season 4 of Stranger Things night, which is only 2 episodes, but the episodes are like an hour and a half and like 2 hours and a quarter or something like that. It was basically 4 hours of Stranger Things 4. So we got the pizza, and as soon as I got back with that, we put on Netflix and Stranger Things. Sorry, the camera just totally freaked out there for a second. It's the problem with computational photography and filmography, is that sometimes it gets confused and like freaks out as to what it's doing. I'm also, by the way, considering starting a camera channel. I love doing photography. I love doing videography and filmography. And I'm learning more and more techniques, and I'm using more tools, and I have more cameras, and I've got things to talk about, but I don't want to flood you guys with that stuff. I know I talk about it some. I talk about the GoPro. I tell you what cameras I'm using, but I don't really go into in-depth about it. The camera just freaked out again. But for the most part, it's pretty light, and I just kind of want to let people know what I'm using so I can get feedback. Oh, I like that camera, I like that microphone, or that one didn't work so well, or whatever. And like right now, I'm on the Rode lapel mic, the lavalier, and the GoPro, right? Like that's it. Like that's as simple, and you don't need to know any more, but you need that much to be able to say that audio isn't as good or whatever. So I'm thinking about starting a channel for that, but I haven't come up with a cool name. I've got Valentina racking her brain trying to figure out a cool name with me, but I just can't come up with anything. So thinking about doing that. But so we watched Stranger Things. So it was about 4 hours. It was very long, and they were awesome. This is the last 2 episodes. These are the ones that came out on July 1st while I was in Guatemala, so that's why Liesl and I had not watched them yet, because we already had binged the rest of season 4 all on release day. And that's also why we hadn't seen these on its release day, because we were doing that. So we did that, went until pretty late, and then that was it. Like, once we watched Stranger Things, it was like, okay, time for bed, because it was nearly midnight. But it was a very nice evening, and I'm glad that we finally got to do that, because I have been wanting to see that desperately, because they definitely left you at a cliffhanger to see what would happen for the end of the season, and they're really doing a lot of stuff. Like, I think that they have taken Stranger Things in a really interesting direction. It's clear they've been planning this from the beginning, which of course is what makes a series really good. You don't want, I mean, if it's a sitcom, you don't have to do that stuff, but if you're, unless you're like How I Met Your Mother, but that's what made How I Met Your Mother so good. You watch season after season after season, and it kept building to an obvious. They had filmed some of that from the very beginning. Obviously, some things they changed as they went, but some things they were planning for all along, and it really made it a meaningful series in a way that a lot of sitcoms cannot be. And Stranger Things, not being a sitcom, has this really deep, dramatic storyline that goes for the whole length of it. And that's what made Doctor Who really good. When Doctor Who was episodic, you're like, oh, it's an entertaining show, but it lacked something. Later, when they figured out how to make these long half-season arcs or multi-season arcs that would go through it, you'd be like, oh my gosh, there's so much tying everything together. Once they knew they were able to keep many seasons going, you were able to have like these really great stories. And Stranger Things does that in this really excellent way. So really enjoying that, and we know there's one season left to come, and we're really looking forward to that. This weekend, I actually don't have that much planned. So coming up tomorrow, I'm hoping to get some time to actually relax, chill with the dogs, hang with the kids. Liesl is interested in getting into the Grand Theft Auto series of games, which when she was little, she liked them, but Dominica was like, I don't think this is appropriate for like a 5 or 6 year old, which is about how old she was, and she was good at it, but we're like, yeah, like just driving the cars around and stuff worked, but once it got beyond that, it was like, yeah, it's a little bit violent and potentially inappropriate. So now she's plenty old to be playing Grand Theft Auto, and she's interested in checking it out. So I'm hoping we're going to do some of that this weekend. I hope we're going to play some Nancy Drew. I'm hoping that there's a lot of relaxing time this weekend, and I'm hoping to get some filming time in. I've been working on my other channel, Sam IT, which I really should link at the end of this video if I remember to do so. Check that out. That's all business and tech. Right now it's older stuff, but I'm working on getting a lot of new content out there for that. So fingers crossed that gets moving, but I do have several filmed. And that is about it. I think it's going to be kind of a chill weekend, which I need. It's been so much going on. Paul is still in Costa Rica. Dominica is still at the hotel, manually running the hotel and taking the reins as we transfer people and make just gobs and gobs of changes and close things and open things and massive construction and maintenance and all kinds of stuff. New roof about to go on. And that is about it. We are heading to Costa Rica sometime coming up in the next few weeks because we have to for our visas. I just don't know the exact date. And Paul keeps sending us all these links to amazing things in San Jose that we have to go check out. So I really hope we get down there, but I want to take the kids and do some wildlife, jungle, adventure stuff up in the north. And it would be nice if we could get out to the Caribbean beach because we have not seen the Caribbean since we moved down here, even though we live in a Caribbean country. So all things I really hope to do, but we're really only planning on being in Costa Rica like 4 or 5 days, so we don't have a ton of time to do a bunch of stuff, and the Caribbean coast and San Jose are much farther than the wildlife adventure stuff up north, so we will see. Thanks for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe, ask your questions below, leave your comments. Oh wait, and I wanted to leave because I've had these shorts where I've talked about, I posted this on TikTok about how I couldn't get cash when I was in Antigua, and then one of the people is like, you know, you should always be using a credit card. You should never have cash in a foreign country. And that is, I cannot get over just how obviously wrong that is. So much of the world only works on cash. There's nothing wrong with credit cards or debit cards or whatever when you can. Right? If you have a credit card that protects you when you travel, absolutely use it when you can. I have an amazing Chase Sapphire travel card for specifically that reason. But I can almost never use it. Very few places take it, and when they do take it, they normally charge me extra. Even if Chase doesn't charge me anything, the store does, often like 10 or 15% because they're passing on their cost. And trust me, as a business owner who has to take credit cards, there's an unbelievable cost to taking the credit cards. So we pass it on, right? Everybody I know does this pretty much. There's a few exceptions, but almost. Walmart doesn't, right? So when I go to Walmart, I'll often use a credit card, but When I'm at local businesses, which when you're traveling, who goes to Walmart? I live here, so I go to Walmart. But when I'm traveling, I'm not going to Walmart. That doesn't make that much sense. And even when I go to the grocery store, often I'm going to a small local grocery store, not a big chain grocery store. So often I don't have the option of credit cards. Now, if I'm in Germany, of course, I'm able to use a credit card many places. If I'm in France, right? Those places are easy, or Mexico. But if I'm going through Central America, much of South America, most of Europe outside of those few countries, they either don't take credit cards or they prefer cash, or you get a better deal with cash. Like those, and those things all matter. And so I've been noticing, right, all the times. So first of all, the situation that I had mentioned at the time in Antigua, I had to have cash, right? I had to get home. That's how the bus worked. They act like you just tell them you take a card. They don't have a card machine. They have no way to take that. That's not their business. They tell you even at the station, they say, we don't have a card machine. So first of all, if you're taking like an UCA bus around Nicaragua, they're cash only. Come on, be real. The charge for a card would be more than the cost of the bus. The Ishimche bus between Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and Nicaragua, cash only. They stated that. The Nica Express, the big bus that takes you between the countries, down all the countries, many more countries than the small Ishimche bus, cash only. We had to deal with that this week. That's the only way that they do it. As far as I know, the Tica bus is too, but that one might take cards. They're much bigger than the others, so there's definitely a possibility they take cards, but you have to assume all transport does not take cards. All the taxis here in León, cash only. If you don't have cash, you're not getting a taxi, you're not getting a bus, you're not getting the chicken bus. All of those are cash only. So, and we don't have Uber here. So Nicaragua, as a transport country, for all intents and purposes, is 100% cash for transport. It is something like 90% or greater for food. It's only between 5 and 10% of places that will accept cards for food, and almost all of those will charge you extra for it. So I was so offended by how uneducated and belligerent the statement was that you were just an uneducated traveler to be trying to attempt to use cash. How foolish can you be? Haha, you've never traveled anywhere. So Backpacking Bananas, a channel that I really like, she's Christiane is a travel girl from, I think, London, but definitely England. And she's backpack all over the world. And she just got to, or at least in her video series, I'm sure she shoots them a month ahead or whatever, just got to Albania, which I love, by the way. I was in Albania for like a week almost back in 2016. Fantastic country, love going there. And she got there to a major city and discovered a number of things, including most of the ATMs would not take her card, and everybody demanded cash only, not just restaurants. And this is the same here as well. The phone places, if you want to get a SIM card, by the way, the airplane is back. I'm going to grab him here. I'm sure you can see him this time. He's just making weird laps of the city. Very strange. So the SIM cards and all of the phone charges, and this is Vodafone, right? So this is a huge carrier in Europe, but the same thing with the carriers here, Tigo, Claro. Maybe you can do something online, maybe if you go to their own stores, but we don't have any of their stores here anywhere nearby. 99%, I mean that, 99% of the stores that do the Claro and Tigo SIM cards are not Claro and Tigo stores. When we were traveling around in Guatemala, it took us days with Valentina to come across an actual store. It's all these little pulperias. They just sell the cards or charge the minutes, and they're cash only. I don't know that a store takes a card, but they probably do. Probably. Only probably. But Vodafone Albania does not. Cash only. Even at the official Vodafone store. So consider things like that. Even the businesses that you are most certain, except for Walmart, most certain are going to be credit card, aren't in many cases. Certainly some are, but many are not. You have to at least have the ability to work in cash to travel safely, and you definitely have to be ready to work in cash to travel cost effectively. I also need to mention, even in the United States, if you're doing a lot of smart shopping, you're probably at Costco, and they are cash only unless you have like an American Express. There's some special card you can use, but normal credit cards are not accepted at Costco. Same thing here. Costco is one of our main stores, like Walmart here in the country, and just like in the United States, they don't take cards. It's cash only. So even as a business owner here in the country, I have to have cash for normal purchases. So I just can't get over that someone would ever say you should never have cash when traveling it's honestly just one of the dumbest things I've ever had put into a comment. And I've had some pretty dumb things in comment. For the most part, you guys are awesome. I have these great comments, good discussions, great questions. I love it. But once in a while, you get people who are like, you're all just so stupid. Just ignore everything you've experienced on the ground. Ignore 10 years of continuous travel. You know nothing. Just use a magic credit card that, even though nobody has gotten credit cards to be accepted reliably, it works for me, so you don't need, clearly someone who's never left the US or Canada. Just, like and subscribe, leave your comments below. Have you managed to travel without having any cash? What countries have you gone to? US, UK, and Canada do not count. Where have you gone that you've not been charged extra or been left without being able to get services like eating on the street? Where have you eaten street food, taken a public bus, and taken a taxi, not an Uber, a taxi, assume there's no Uber service, something where you don't have an app, and we're able to do all those things without a credit card? I want to know which places those were. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow.